today is. It's June 11th. Guess what I did 50 years ago today? Let's see, it's 9 a.m. About 9 a.m. Oh my gosh, I had a 3-hour-old baby that came into this earth weighing 10 pounds. She was a big, big girl. And when I got back to the room, no nurse had even told her daddy if she was a girl or a boy. And her daddy said, well, was it a girl or a boy? And I said, a boy, of course. He weighed 10 pounds. So he goes down to the nursery. He comes back and he said, there's not a boy down there. There's a girl. I said, are you serious? I must have been delirious because I was, I just given birth to a 10-pound baby. Give me a break. I didn't know if it was a girl or a boy, but it was a girl. Her name is Cherokee Dawn, and today we're going to honor her. We're going to share a little bit about her life. We're going to try to help you get over being 50 because she's a little bit stressed about it. I'd hoped that she would be here today, but we're going to use some stuff that we have from last year because Dawn and the whole Fountain family is reeling from the loss of her precious sister-in-law, Audrey. Audrey went home to be with Jesus, and I'm going to read something out of Mike Smith's book about an angel among us because Audrey was one of those angels. Now we've got lots of photos of Dawn, and that is one of my favorites because the picture behind her looks exactly like Xana, and the man standing there with her is John Tinsley. He was married to Dawn's Aunt Betty, and so when Dawn was 3 years old, he stopped by Granny Wade's and said, what are you doing out there? And Granny Wade was out there working in her dahlia bed, and Dawn was out there with her, and he took his camera and he took that picture of Dawn. Now fast forward 47 years, and there they are. It's crazy how you have this path that takes you back full circle. So there's the full circle, and he still loves photography, and it was amazing to me. He blew that picture up for us, and now we're looking at generations and generations and generations, and those generations are disappearing because we're looking at the loss of grandmothers, great aunts, mothers, fathers, and we're what's left. We're what's left, and we have to make the most out of our family, our world, and those around us. Now that looks just like Xana, but that is Cherokee Dawn, and that is actually in Maggie Valley, going up to Ghost Town, and that was probably her favorite photo of her whole life. I had one of Angela and I, and we can't find it, and I would say Angela had it somewhere, and I don't know what happened to it. So broke my heart because I couldn't find it, but that is a 3-year-old Cherokee Dawn. And there's my two girls. There's my two girls, the wild child and I'll say the wild child and the wilder child. So there they are. There's Leah, who is, everybody knows she's not just my beautician, she's my girl, and her and Dawn. And they argue all the time about who I love the most. So they'll just have to keep arguing about it. And there we are. There's Leah and Dawn and precious, precious friends Paula and Jenny. And celebrating the birth of that sweet, sweet Riker. So it's all about family and getting together and being together. And that was when Dawn was modeling. And she wasn't crazy about that. She didn't like all that foo-foo stuff. She would rather be out in a pair of overalls gardening or canning or picking muscadines. Lord have mercy, that girl can pick muscadines. Hundreds of gallons of muscadines. She makes muscadine jelly and sells it around the world, and she just loves that kind of life. The modeling thing did not work for her. She was like, oh, no, 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 no. So wasted money on that. And that is Ansley. And I wanted y'all to see, does that not look just like Xana too? Oh my gosh. Except Ansley's hair wasn't as curly as Xana's is, and Xana's is super curly. And y'all say a prayer today because Xana is sick, sick, sick right now. She got passed around at the funeral to probably 50 people, and I don't know where she picked it up, but she's a very sick little girl. And we got to pray that she's going to be fine and dandy quickly, very quickly. and get through this thing, because she was not eating, not drinking, not a happy baby. So, and there are my two daughters, and they look a little different, don't they? Yeah, that's because they don't either one look like me. So, but they got grandma and grandpa's looks, and yeah, interesting. Neither one of them girls look a thing like me. I don't know who they belong to. Yeah, I do. But yeah, there they are. And there is Aunt Kiki and Dawn, and just sweet memories, 50 years old. 50 years ago today, about 6 a.m., I was screaming bloody murder, and sweet Peggy Petty actually was there for delivery for Dawn. Peggy has been a nurse for over 60 years. She's amazing. And there's the kids. And that was actually, I think, at Nick's 5th birthday party, if I remember right. So, yeah. And that was at the skating rink down in Canton. So, with your kids come your grandkids, your great-grandkids. And there is Ansley Elizabeth, as she, of course, won the beauty pageant. She's so cute, so precious. So sweet, and the best mama ever. She's so sweet and so loving. Okay, now this is what Dawn loves. When you look at her Cherokee heritage, she got it. She likes to hunt, she likes to fish, she likes to garden. She's just into all the outdoor stuff, and that's her thing. She likes to win tournaments. She was Lady Angler of the Year 2019. That is a big title. That was a big win, and they traveled around the country to do that. But she won, and 2019 Lady Angler of the Year. That's pretty awesome for a girl that was supposed to be modeling and strutting down runways. That did not happen. Did not happen. She did not like that life, but that's the life she loves, right there. And she tells me all the time, she said, Mama, you ought to get out on a lake at 5:30 in the morning and talk to God. She said he just loves the people that get out on his waters and talk to him. And she said it's just the most peaceful place to talk to God. And I said, well, he'll have to let me talk to him from the bedroom, because I'm not getting out on the lake at 5:30 in the morning. That, again, I believe Dawn's fish was bigger than Lonnie's. Looks like it to me. What do y'all think? They had such a good time, and won competition after competition after competition. And she loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. So it is one of those things. She has never, ever thought about, you know, she used some sunscreen, but she didn't really protect herself, her skin too much, and it worries me about, you know, how you think about protect yourself from the sun. She's been out in the sun a whole lot, and she loved it, loves it, loves it, loves it. As she says, shake and bake. Now this, please y'all, pray, pray, pray for the Fountain family. They laid sweet Audrea to rest. She battled and wanted to live worse than anybody I have ever seen in my life. And first time I ever saw her, she was on a riding lawnmower, and she was over at Lonnie and Dawn's cutting the grass, and it was just, she's always been there for everybody. And you could tell that at her service on Sunday. It was packed, and her daughters and her granddaughters carried her to the grave. And very emotional time, and for the family, they are going to need your strength. Donnie he and Audrey have been married for 36 years, and they were that true love story. So please pray for her and her family. She's going to be fine because she's with Jesus, but the family maybe not. I want to read something about from Mike Smith's book, because I think about Audrey. The first time I saw her, she was I guess you would say she was rough and tough. She didn't let anybody get anything on her, and she could do anything a man could do. She could build, she could fix, she could do, and that's what she did. But let's listen to this. This is about angels among us, and every single one of us has an angel among us. Years ago, I was driving the fire engine down to the maintenance shop in Canton from Ball Ground. We were going to leave it there for some work to be done. My fire chief was ahead of me, driving the rescue truck to bring me back. It was a rainy day, and the roads were very wet. While en route, we learned of an accident on 575. A car had hydroplaned off the road and went down an embankment. The chief got to the scene first and was able to get the female driver out of the vehicle and up the embankment. Her car had missed several large pine trees by inches before coming to a stop, still upright. She was emotionally and physically shaken but did not have any severe injuries. It continued to rain, and we placed her in the rescue waiting on the squad. While in the ambulance, which is the ambulance, I told her it should look like an angel was with her directing the car among the trees that she had barely missed. If the car had hit one of those trees, she would have had severe injuries and possibly could have been killed. I asked her if she was okay, and I said a prayer to thank God for protecting her. She told me she would like for me to do that. So while the rain came down and I stood outside the rescue holding her hand, I thanked God for his protection over her life. I asked God to calm her nerves and give her a peace that only he could bring. I thanked God she did not have any serious injuries and what could have been a tragic accident. The incident and others like it always remind me of what the Bible says. If you make the Lord your refuge, if you make the Most High your shelter, no evil will conquer you, no plague will come near your home. For he will order his angels to protect you wherever you go. I believe because of God's grace, mercy, and love, we have angels all around us. When we get to heaven, we'll find out from them just how really close to us on earth they were. Audrey was one of those people. She was an angel among us. Even as she was down to under 100 pounds, fighting for our own life, she was showing up for benefits to help other people. That's what good people do. And Audrey was a good person. She was funny. She was crazy. She was wildly excited about her kids, her family, her grandkids. She loved them all, and that showed up at her funeral on Sunday. So to Donnie Fountain, we honor the 36 years that you two spent together, and they were one of those couples that they did everything together. And if he was hunting, she wanted to go. If he was fishing, she wanted to go. They did everything and enjoyed life, and now we're going to have to pray for him. And if it weren't for God, he would be having a really hard time. But one of the best memories of my life was showing up in their yard where there were church services, and it was outdoors church service. We brought food, had a meal afterwards, and they did that week after week after week. They live near Jerusalem Church, and Audrey has been laid to rest at Jerusalem Church. So it's going to be easy for him to walk out there and to share those memories and share those times and those quiet moments with the memory of his wife. So please pray for the Fountain family. And again, Audrey's just a few years older than Dawn, so I know it's really, really hitting the whole family hard, and I know it's especially hitting Dawn hard. So happy birthday to my precious daughter. And it is one of those things, it doesn't seem like it was 50 years ago. It really seems like it was maybe 5 years ago. Not so much. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Today we're going to share some things with you, but I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give away some tickets to the Fiddlers Convention that's going to be up in the mountains this weekend on the 15th. I can't be there, and I have tickets, and I have several tickets. So I would like to share them with somebody. If you're a viewer and you would like to call me after I get off the air or text me at 404-375-0590, I have several tickets that I would like to share with you. The event is Saturday. It begins at 9 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. There will be fiddling, there will be guitars, there will be full bands. It will be a great time. Number one for music, and number one, they're going to have some good food trucks there, and they're going to have some great entertainment, great food, and great fun. And again, this is the Fiddlers Convention, and it's a big to-do. There'll be a lot of folks there, and we would love to give you a ticket. So again, write down my phone number. It's 404-375-0590. You can text me, or you can call me after I get off the air, and I will find a way to leave the tickets maybe at the ETC office in Jasper. If you live in Jasper, I'll have them with me in Ball Ground. And if you're up here, we'll have to figure out how to get them to you. But let's try to work that out, because I hate that I can't use them. But I can't be in two places at one time. And we have a big open house at Malone's Pond on Saturday. So I'm sorry, but work has to come first. The fun has to wait. So We're going to share now a program with Dawn. She doesn't like doing television like Angela did. Angela loved being here. Angela was excited to come into your home. She was always smiling, and Dawn is always nervous. But I've talked her into it just a few times in the many years I've been on television. So we're going to share a program with Dawn. When I think about Dawn and I think about her life, she has always loved the dirt. She's always loved digging. She's always loved animals. She has always loved growing plants. She is an earth person. She really is. And Angela was exactly the opposite. Angela was all about, she loved flowers and decorating and fancy stuff. And she loved to make her home beautiful. Dawn could care less about stuff. She just cares about the earth and the beauty. And truly, her happiest days are probably gathering muscadines, where she does it by the gallon. So let's go to a program that we did about, I think this one was done last year. Sit back and let's spend some time with Cherokee. You fish better than your husband?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. And so today we want to talk about the path that life takes you down. I was explaining to somebody the other night, as a child who never had a relationship with my father, I was always looking for something, always looking. And sadly found my father, but never got to build a relationship with him. Marry a gentleman who is, he's a fishing maniac, isn't he?
Yes, to say the least. I think there's 52 weeks in a year, and he fished 47 or 48 tournaments last year.
Yeah,
so.
He might be a fishing maniac.
And we run a business.
Yeah, and it's so weird because I said something one time, I think y'all got third place, and Lonnie said, blah, 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 and he was just all grumpy, and I'm like, are you kidding me? There were 90-something teams in that.
Second place. He said that's the first one to lose.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, but is it fun? And he said, not unless I win. And I said, life's not always about winning. And life isn't always about winning, but life is about making the most of your situation.
That's true.
And recently, I've been cleaning out some stuff and trying to get some things organized and filing and doing all this stuff. And I found something that you've never been allowed to read. And it is the book about my life. And so I thought today, I'm going to tell you how I started it. And then I want you to tell me what you remember the first scent and smell of a food in your childhood. And I want you to tell me what it was, because I would, you know what I would think, and I hope I get it, and I hope you get it. But this is, my book started out like this. Silly Rabbit, Tricks Are for Kids. The first true clear memory of my life obviously had to do with food. Mama and I lived on Myrtle Street in downtown Atlanta, a tiny apartment, very little money, but I remember the special things Mama did for me. The first really nice stove I had was a beautiful cardboard box with 4 eyes, an oven, and even perfectly drawn knobs. Mama wanted me to learn to cook and wanted me to occupy myself. I did both and have some great memories of fixing tricks for my friend Kim, who would come to play with me. I was about 4 and Kim was a little older. Now, today, I still can't stand the smell of Trix cereal.
Oh, wow.
What's your first smell-o-vision of your life? What do you remember?
Probably bacon at Mama Martin's.
Really? Okay,
My favorite thing to eat was cold bacon after it had already sat in there until lunchtime, because me and Papa would be out feeding chickens and slopping hogs and all this.
Yeah.
And at lunchtime I would come in and get cold bacon and a cold biscuit.
And I could see it sitting there.
But my first actual thought was a bologna sandwich, because with cold bread.
Yes. She put the bread in the refrigerator and she used JFG mayonnaise, which is so disgusting.
Yes.
And it was 89 cents a quart, and she bought the bologna with that red thing that you pull off around it. Yes. So a lot of our life, our first memories are an amazing meal or an amazing something, you know, you walked by somebody's perfume and you loved it, or you walked by and you smelled a man's cigar and you were like, I don't even smoke and that smells good, you know. So life is often filled with scents.
Yes.
And it's so strange to me, because when I started writing this, it was because I was remodeling Harris Farm. And I was sitting on this huge roll of carpet next to this guy, and we were talking about our past, and I said, Kim, what do you remember about our past? I said, does Trix cereal mean anything to you? And he said, oh my gosh, yes, I hate the smell of Trix. And I said, isn't that weird? Two kids who played together often, and we both hated the smell of Trix. And it was so weird. And I thought, now this has got to be the opening line to the book. So that's how I started the book. And as I went on and I thought about that life experience, I can still remember that apartment. I was only 4 years old, but I remember where the furniture was, how it was placed. I remember the darkness of it because it was in a triplex on Myrtle Street in Atlanta, and it was an older house that they had split up into apartments, and I remember that. You know, I remember that. And it was a pretty good memory. It was a pretty good memory. And then as life goes on, you throw some memories out there that aren't so pleasant, and you, you know, and you put them all in there together, and you kind of mix it up, and then you come out with what you get. And a few years ago, I let somebody read this, and he said, "Oh my gosh, wow, how did you get through all of this?" And I said, "I don't know, but God was here, and God was in my plan, and God's plan is always perfect, and I survived things that some people wouldn't have." And I came out, you told me the other day, and you kind of opened my eyes to what was happening with me. I can find humor in some crazy stuff. And you said, Mama, you need to do stand-up comedy, because even in the darkest moments of my life, I came up with some one-liners.
Yes.
And you were like, Mama, you really need to do this.
You are
and
hilarious.
I said, how can I make fun of the sad, sad situation I faced? And how can I do this? And you kept saying, Mama, write that down. Do you know what you just said? Mama, do you know what you said? So you brought me from a very, very dark spot. And I think what really opened my eyes when you said, Mama, I saw you standing at my sister's casket, but I've never seen you broken. And I was broken. I was broken. And it was so weird. And I said, oh my gosh, I've never broken before.
Right.
And I broke. And I was like, God is going to be here to recover me.
Pull you through it.
And so I started seeing funny things. And I was like, are you serious?
Because laughter is the best medicine.
Absolutely.
We have to surround ourselves with positive, uplifting people, and we just have to laugh about it.
Yeah. And it was crazy because you said, Mama, I saw my mother broken. And it woke me up.
Good.
And I was like, you're right, I am broken. And I didn't like it. You know, I didn't like it.
But you're not damaged, and God sees what's in front of us, so we just have to daily, continuously go to Him. Exactly.
Well, one of the things, after I allowed somebody to read this, I left home at I wasn't quite 16. I was like 15 3/4. And I left home and didn't go home for 2 years. And there have been periods of our life that you were wild and crazy, and I was all, you know, oh my God, I got to get my kids straightened out. I got to do this, got to do that. I've kicked in a few doors, and somebody reminded me the other day of a door I kicked in, and she said, God, I wish I'd have been there to see that. I said, no, you don't. But we have survived it all. We made it through it. And when I watch you now having Bible study with these people and you go to the Bible for everything. That is your thing. And you will say, wait just a minute, I can find something in the Bible that'll justify all of this. And so I found, you gave me this. You've given me several of these. And this one is the one that I really have enjoyed now. It says, and you tell me what you feel about this. If we have any bitterness or unforgiveness, it's always our fault for not choosing to let it go. It's our responsibility to confess it to God and ask Him to help us forgive and move on with our lives. How do we forgive those who...
Because it's so easy to become bitter, because that's a familiar, surely not, and I hit do not disturb. But anyway, as soon as my phone stops ringing, I don't know what to do about it. Anyway, forgiveness, it says in the Bible that if we can't forgive others, then God doesn't hear our prayers. So we really have to work on being able to forgive ourselves, number one, and the person who has hurt us. And pray for them and love them. And that's a really hard thing to do.
Really, really hard thing to do.
A very hard thing to do.
Yeah, well, as I was writing this, and I wrote it in small little text, And I tried to judge how many pages would this be and how many when I finish it, and then your sister died. And then I couldn't go any further.
Right.
And I stopped at a very, very sad part of my life. And when I got to this part, I was reading it the other day, and it says, through faith, my family has survived rejection, child molestation, divorce, mental abuse, and physical abuse. The trauma I face today is only another piece of the puzzle God calls my life. And today I realize I'm here to teach someone else to love, because after all, I have figured it out. God loves me, or I would never have made it through the days of my life. Today, I have just started living, and I will wait patiently for God to put love in another's heart. He placed so much love in my heart, and I understand more than anyone, in order to love someone, you must first love yourself.
Yes.
And it took me many years to overcome the trauma of rejection, and I can wait until he can overcome the demons from his past. God doesn't make mistakes. You know, I wanted my father to want to spend time with me. I wanted my daddy to pick up the phone and call and say, I'm coming to town, let's have lunch. He never did that. He never did that. And so I always tell parents, no matter what you're going through with your spouse or your whatever.
Or yourself.
Yeah,
put those children
put the
first.
children first. And so.
Because if you think about it, our childhood is the shortest period of our life, yet it is what we reflect back on, it's what we go back to. We're constantly talking about when we were little, the things we went through in our childhood, which is a very small period in our life.
Right.
But if we carry it with us throughout our entire life. Horace is 90, John's 84, and they're always talking about when they were younger, their childhood. We just carry it with us. It really, yes.
Yeah, forever. Well, I was talking to one of my cousins last night, and we were talking about some stuff, and I said, you know, we all have faced so much, and we can name all the people in our family who've died of cancer, died of Alzheimer's. We lost so many people so young. We lost so many people that we loved. But we carry the reflection of them in us. And so last night I just threw a thing out on Facebook, and I said, hey cousins, I said, how many of y'all can or make buttermilk? Well, Aunt Tempy taught me to can and to make buttermilk. And I can tell you, I can, but this is the canning queen. This is the canning queen. Now, I didn't teach you those things. Who taught you to do the things that I should have taught you?
Well, I was around Mama and Papa Martin a lot. And so from sitting on the porch stringing beans.
Oh, no, bushels and
picking
bushels of beans.
To, you know, they had this little system in the kitchen. Mama would do, you know, she would pack the jars and do this part. And then Papa, he would always get the cans out, you know.
Yeah.
And he would make sure that the lids was on it good, and that's what John does.
Yes,
we kind of, we're a team when we're canning. And then Dorothy Hightower, she really, really got me into it, the gardening and the canning. And she really taught me how to can.
And, you know, that's one of those things when we look back, I couldn't do the things I do. I mean, I think about making a pound cake. Every time I make a pound cake, I compare it to Marcel Ledbetter's. I have never made a pound cake that would even come close to hers. I don't know why. It's a recipe that my granny gave me. Marcel used the same recipe.
Right.
Her cakes were always better. What is it about that person who taught us? They're always better than we are.
I don't know, but usually the student, what is it? The student outdoes the teacher.
Oh, I don't know. Not in my case.
Normally.
Not in my case.
That's how it works.
It's like I was making biscuits this morning, and I was trying to compare my biscuits to my grandmother's biscuits. And mine weren't like Granny's. And they weren't like Mama's. And I'm like, oh, what am I doing different? And I'm using buttermilk and Crisco and white lily flour, same thing I always use. But mine didn't come out like Granny's. And I thought, I don't know what I'm doing different. I put my fingers on it and I do all that stuff. So we try to keep the past that we love, the parts of the past that we love in our memory and in our heart, and we try to rid ourselves of the bad things.
Right.
And sometimes the bad things outweigh the good. And we, dealing with, first of all, lost my mother. 6 weeks later, lost my husband of 25 years. And then your sister, and we just kept rolling.
And my brother.
And Corky. And I was like it was like I was planning a funeral and planning a funeral and planning a funeral. And I would get bitter and angry with God because, after all, my husband begged God to let him live here, begged him not to take him, begged the doctor not to give up on chemo. And I learned something about God's perfect timing because, you know, J.S. was like the bigger than life man who could do anything. I've seen him so mad he picked up a stove because he was angry. The stove quit. He just picked up the stove and walked with it. And I was like, who could do this, you know? But God decided it was time to call him home.
Right.
And there was nothing anybody could do about it.
Right.
And I watched that big, strong man who did everything go down to a little bag of bones.
Right.
And at the end, it was pretty pitiful.
Yes.
And I remember at the cemetery, you were standing over to the distance, and I played that song. It was J.S.'s anthem. He loved the song One More Day.
Mm-hmm.
To this moment, Nick Martin cannot stand to hear that song.
Yeah,
I played it last
listen
night
to it.
before I went to bed, and you can just see Nick's skin crawl. He
Yeah.
just can't stand to even hear it.
Whether you're in the mood for chicken strips, a delicious burger, our classic banana split, or an upside-down thick blizzard treat, we've got you covered. Hot and fresh food every day, every time. And delicious DQ soft serve make the perfect pair at your favorite place. Not fast food, fan food fast. Your Blue Ridge, Ellijay, and Jasper Dairy Queens are your meet, eat, and treat headquarters.
Thank you for choosing DQ. How may I serve you?
Georgia Medical Treatment Center now has 2 locations to bring you the high-quality holistic care you've come to know and expect. We treat neck, back, and joint pain with chiropractic care and injection-based treatment without the need for surgery or prescription painkillers. Our medical weight loss program can also provide relief while ridding your body of toxins, pounds, and inches while improving your overall health. Call today for a free consultation, 770-345-2000, or go online to georgiamtc.com.
You know, how you feel on the inside is just as important to me as how you feel on the outside.
Oh, Daddy.
I'm grown up, is there in every way, care and take care of you. You're my grown up and I know you're there.
I'm your grown up and you know I care.
'Cause it's you and me and me and you.
So when you are okay or not okay, I'll take care of you.
Misty mountain, rainbow sky, a faraway look in your eye. Tell me, have you had enough? Traffic jams and city stuff. Don't you think it's time to go where black bears climb and waters flow? Hummingbirds out on the deck, propped up, and what the heck?
Whether you're swimming in the sea or splashing in the pool, making a masterpiece, or just making memories, writing a great American novel, or writing your term paper that's due tomorrow. Whatever you do in life, Farmers is here to protect it. For all your insurance needs, call Donald Curtis in Blue Ridge.
Was just a little visit with Dawn, but now I'm going to give Dawn her birthday present. I'm going to give Dawn the song that she heard over and over and over when her daddy sat around with his guitar. He picked this song. This is not him doing it. This is Waylon Jennings. It's so weird because during the early years, he had a band and they traveled around. They went to Nashville, they went here, they went there. But that was way, way, way before the good recordings and way, way, way before you had an iPhone. And so we don't have any good recordings of him singing. But I can tell you, my daughter still loves this song. So my birthday gift to her, I'm not buying her anything. She doesn't need a single thing, but she does love this song. And it was kind of an anthem that we heard quite often, over and over and over. And now you're going to get to hear a song that just it sold a lot of records. It's called Good-Hearted Woman.
A long time forgotten, the dreams of despair by the good life he promised ain't what she's living today. But she never complains of the bad times or the bad things he's done, Lord. She just talks about the good times they've had and all the good times to come. She's a good-hearted woman in love with a good-timing man. She loves him in spite of his ways she don't understand. Through teardrops and laughter they'll pass through this world hand in hand. A good-hearted woman loving a good-timing man. He likes the bright lights and nightlife and good-timing friends. When the party's all over, she'll welcome him back home again. Lord knows she don't understand him, but she does the best that she can to be a good-hearted woman to the world's youngest dirty old man. She's a good-hearted woman in love with a good-timing man. Yeah. She loves me in spite of my wicked ways that she don't understand. Through teardrops and laughter they'll pass through this world hand in hand. A good-hearted woman loving a good-timing man. She's a good-hearted woman in love with a good-timing man. She loves me in spite of my Mickey Mouse ways and things that she don't.
Happy birthday, Cherokee Dawn. There's Waylon Jennings doing the song that you heard all your life and you loved it, loved it, loved it, and nobody does it like Waylon Jennings does. Sadly, we lost Waylon years ago, diabetes, and he was married to the beautiful, beautiful Jessie Coulter. They have a son, Shooter Jennings. I think Shooter's producing music, but nobody does that song. Nobody, nobody, nobody like the man, Waylon Jennings. And that is one of those songs I would love to challenge somebody here in Ellijay that y'all all know and love and get him to do that song. I don't know if he could nail it like Waylon did, but let's throw a challenge out there to Mr. Ellijay and say, hey, the next time you get in the studio, why don't you learn that song, because that's the anthem. I love it, love it, love it. We're going to go back to another little visit with Dawn, and I wish she could have been here today, but I'll tell you, the family is really struggling with getting over the loss of Audrey because nobody fought to live any harder than Audrey Fountain did. And I hope that if you knew her, you will share your special memories of her. She was funny, she was amazingly good, amazingly strong, amazingly tough, and amazingly wild when she wanted to be. She could conquer anything except that moment that Jesus called her home. She was ready, she was saved, and she is now no more pain, no more sorrow, but we're going to remember her for a long, long time. Here we go back to a visit with Dawn.
It's very, very real, isn't it?
Yes, it
And
is.
you have somebody you want to ask some prayer for, because he's really, really struggling. After the death of his sister, he spiraled into just locking down. Tell folks about us.
I call it the rabbit hole. And I was talking to him about it last night, but it's one of our workers, and his sister committed suicide, same as mine. I think it's been, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
And he just gave up. He would get up and go to work, but then when he got home, he would just go to bed. Bed. And now, I guess it's been 6 or 7 weeks, he has been not able to walk. Like he has.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
if you don't use it, you lose
eat.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's, last night he told me that he's going to get back in church. And I said, I knew a blessing would shine through this, and that you are going to make it. So he's fighting now to live.
Yeah.
But he has bladder infection, kidney infection, urinary tract infection. He, I mean, for the last 5 or 6 weeks, he has not been able to walk.
Wow. Wow.
Because it has done so much damage to his body, not eating.
That's crazy.
Not eating anything. And that's another thing that comes with depression. Some people comfort eat, so they overeat. Some people do the opposite, which is shut down
Forget
and they
to
won't
eat.
eat.
Yep.
It's not forget, it's just, you know, I don't know. It's kind of a slow suicide, really.
Absolutely. Now, when you dealt with the death of your sister and depression set in, you literally just shut down.
Yes.
But at the same time, you had a business to run, you had a husband, you had a family, and you had children, but you still shut down.
Yes.
Nothing could keep you from shutting down. That's very scary.
And I remember one day, it's the day that Lonnie had bought the pontoon boat, and him and Ansley come in, and they had it out in the front yard, and they said, we're going to take it to Carter's Lake. Come on, Mom, go with us. And I said, no. I was on the couch where I had been for about 6 months. And they were like, well, okay, and they left, and it hit me so hard that day. Like, oh my gosh, they're letting me lay here and die. And so whenever Lonnie got in, I said, I can't believe you're letting me die. And he said, we beg you to get up and go with us. We beg you every day. And I had said no so many times that they, you know.
Got tired of asking.
They would still ask, but when I'd say no, they'd just go on. They wouldn't stand around and try to, you know, convince me to come on or whatever. But I'm like, y'all are letting me just lay here and die. I can't believe you're letting me lay here and die. And it hit me really, really hard that day. And so I think that that may have been
a trigger point, maybe.
When did I break my shoulder? The year before you did. When did you?
6 years.
2016.
7 years. Yep.
I think I broke mine in 2015.
Mine was 2015. Yours was earlier that year.
So 2014 or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had already got through all that, but that kind of woke me up to, I have got to start fighting to get out of this, because I remember it was in April when I sat down on the couch, because I went and cleaned her house out and we turned the keys over and blah, 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 blah. So it really didn't hit me until April. But I remember going in, sitting on the couch, and I don't know if I went into shock. It all just hit me right then, but
it was over,
there
and it was
I was
real.
for 6 months on the couch.
Yeah, and that is, you had somebody there who saw it happening with you, and they still couldn't do anything. Angela hid her depression.
Right.
Because she would be fine, and then she would go home, and she would be so depressed. And she would be fine, and she would go home, and she would be so depressed. And everybody asked me, did you not see this coming? No, I didn't. Because I thought, she's my child, and she's going to be strong. But did you see coming what happened to me recently? Because I didn't realize that I was giving in and giving up. And I didn't see it happening, and it did. Right. And that's very scary. So I don't think she realized the depth of the hole she was in.
Right.
And it gets darker, it gets harder. I've had, you know, so many thoughts of how close I came to not being here.
Yes.
And it wasn't that I was going to kill myself. I was just going to die. I was just going to die. I'm just going to lay down and die. And that's Satan. That is Satan. That is purely from Satan. That is not from us, from, you know, Angela was smart. We'll admit she was smarter than both of us. She had us whooped. I mean, absolutely. And talented.
You know who she reminds me of? Her and Miss Doubtfire, what's his name?
Oh, Robin Williams. Yes.
How many people did he make happy?
Yes,
And
yes.
she
And
had an
Angela was the same
infectious-
way.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have a whole lot in common.
Yeah. And we just, you know, anything I needed done, I would call my daughter and say, Ange, you got to do this. I can't do it. And she'd say, Mom, let me teach you. Let me show you. And I said, I don't need to know how to do this because you're going to always be here to do it. No, she wasn't. She wasn't.
Right.
And it was so scary. It was so scary because she didn't see the depth of the depression she was going into. And Paula told me yesterday, she said, I just shut down. And she said, you know, she had health issues that started it. And often depression starts when there's a health issue. Yeah. And she said that's what happened with her. And it's just so scary. It's so scary. Yes. We need to learn something about our phones because we put our phones on Do Not Disturb, and y'all just heard that sucker going crazy. It's so weird.
So if you see me get up in a minute, you grab the phone and throw it across the room, then you'll know.
You know, depression is very, very real. We had a conversation this morning at Leah's about I don't medicate. And so the doctor last year, he said, these numbers are wrong, these are bad, you're in trouble, you're in trouble, you're in trouble, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. He said, you're in trouble, your kidneys are shutting down, this is happening, all these things are happening. And I said, okay. And he wanted to give me a bunch of prescriptions. And I said, no. I said, I'll take care of it myself. And I did. I had the strength then to do that. You have to be ready to fight, and I was ready to fight. And I think that's when we get in trouble and depression takes over, is when we give up the fight. Yes. And the doctor's office called last week and said, we have some questions for you because all these numbers are changing drastically. And are you seeing another doctor and getting prescriptions? And I said, no. I said, I'm not doing anything except what I told you I would do. I'm doing it on my own. And they were like, really? You know, so they were documenting all this because I was stronger and I was determined and I was going to reverse problems. And so I quit drinking sugar in my tea and I started drinking water and I got my kidneys back going and I got, you know, I'm just determined. I'm pretty determined. And then something hits me up against the wall and I lose everything. And I'm like, what happened to me? I think sometimes depression hits us and we don't realize that it is real, but it is also something that Satan likes to see us give in, and Satan likes to see us give up.
Yes.
And God doesn't like that. He wants his children to be strong.
Right.
That's hard. That's hard. So Kevin getting back in church is going to make such a difference.
Yes.
And we will see the light in his eyes again.
Yes.
You know, now he had only one sister.
Yes.
And she committed suicide.
His parents passed away 2 weeks apart.
Wow.
I think his dad died, and then 2 weeks later, his mom died.
Wow.
And then it was just
the two of them.
Kevin and Tammy.
Yeah. Yeah, and did anybody know she was battling something, or did she, wasn't hers a shocker?
It was to him, but there were a few things that
triggered,
you know, that her significant other knew about. You know, I don't know.
We don't know the answer.
She was struggling.
Yeah, we don't know the answer. It's like yesterday, I told you it was the anniversary of Mike Rizzuto's death.
There's so many things that are so similar to Kevin's sister and my sister. Her dog that she had had for years and years and years, named Roofer, had just passed away, and you know, Mystic had passed away.
Died. Yep.
And there's just so many things that those two had in common. But it's just mental. It's mental health.
Yeah.
You know,
and we've seen this on the news lately. The funding for mental health has been cut drastically. And it's so important because lives are being lost. You know, we're losing lives at war. We're losing a war against mental health issues.
Yes.
Because there's no funding now in the United States. They've cut funding drastically. And that's just ridiculous because if you have a mental health problem, it can be addressed and you can get help and you can be a survivor.
Right.
But without the funding, you can't get anything. Right. So, and I've got something on my phone that I forgot to send Tim. Tim, did I send you a picture of me and a lady this morning? I think I did, yes. I want to share this today with my dear buddy, Ellijay Reese, down in Pickens County, because she might recognize the lady who's with me today. We got so tickled. We were talking about Ellijay, and we were both at Leah's, and Miss Leah took a picture of us, and there you go. Good morning, Ellijay, and I am so glad that you're getting better from your fall, and hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful day today. She has the most beautiful yard, and when it blooms, when it blooms, her yard is just absolutely incredible. So I hope that you will get better, and I hope that your fall, everything will heal, and you'll be in great shape soon. All right, there you go. Dawn, when we talk about depression, we've seen it up close and personal. We've seen it firsthand. Now, is David depressed? Do you think David has depression, or is David's a borderline genius idiot. We know that. That's the smartest boy. He can take a test and he can ace it. He
doesn't have to study.
No, he can teach himself a foreign language, but he's a loner and he stays, and that to me almost looks like depression.
Yeah. I think he does struggle with depression.
Yeah, yes. And depression is real. It is real. And it is one of those things, I think Kevin nailed it last night. If he can get back in church and he can get around a good church family and he can find encouragement, then he's not gone yet.
Right.
And he can come out of this. He can come out of this.
He's fighting now.
Yeah.
Where he wasn't before.
It's so good to see that fight.
Up. So, yes.
Yeah. Now, he's lost a lot of weight.
Yep, I think he weighs 90 pounds.
Yeah, that's very scary. You think about a man weighing 90 pounds. My granddaddy was 68 pounds when he passed, but it was because he had been bedridden a long time, and Kevin basically has been bedridden for 6 weeks. So y'all please pray for this young man.
Yes.
And he's a good guy. He's a good guy, but and men don't often admit that they are battling depression or that they have a problem, or and he just kind of went to himself. And you can't do that.
He went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, down the rabbit hole. Okay, you want to read something that we did at my mother's funeral, and it's the 23rd Psalm.
Oh, we did this at my dad's funeral too. I had somebody read it.
Yeah.
So
there's something about the valley of the shadow of death.
Yeah, and I want to read this.
And it's very, very important that we know that there is a path that we can take, and it is out of that valley. And that valley gets dark and deep, and it gets scary, and you just understand that there is a way out of it, no matter what you're battling. If you're battling depression or addiction, or you can get out of it. Yeah, look up.
Yes, because he is with us.
He is.
Okay.
There you go.
Psalms 23. The Lord, the shepherd of his people, a psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. And that is pretty awesome.
And that is true, and that's the only thing Mother wanted read at her funeral.
Yeah.
She said, I don't want any preaching. I've lived my life. The Lord knows my heart, and I just want the 23rd Psalm. So now, do you want to be looking up Hebrews while I ask?
Yes.
I want to remind y'all, too.
They read you one thing, and this goes out to our whole community because so many are hurting. So many have lost loved ones, but this is especially in honor and in memory of Miss Audrey Fountain. He will take our weak mortal bodies and change them into glorious bodies like his own, using the same power with which he will bring everything under his control. Hold on, the best is yet to come. So to everybody out there struggling, so many families have lost loved ones too young, too soon, and this community has been hurt a lot in the last couple of weeks. It's been really a tough struggle. We're going to leave you today with a song that Dawn absolutely loves, and it was her brother Corky's anthem. He stopped loving her today. George Jones, here we go.
He said, I'll love you till I die. She told him, you'll forget in time. As the years went slowly by, she still preyed upon his mind. He kept her picture on his wall, went half crazy now and then, but he still loved her through it all, hoping she'd come back again. Kept some letters by his bed, dated 1962. He had underlined in red every single I love you. I went to see him just today. Oh, but I didn't see no tears. All dressed up to go away. First time I'd seen him smile in years. He stopped loving her today. They placed a wreath upon his door, and soon they'll carry him away. He stopped loving her today. You know, she came to see him one last time. Oh, and we all wondered if she would. And it kept running through my mind. This time, he's over her for good. He stopped loving her today. It placed a wreath upon his door, and soon they'll carry him away. He stopped loving her today.